Yeah, so I'm going to reflect on Monday's big data class where we talked about a big data analytics paper and I presented on Neo4j. But one of the things that I took away from the class and have thought about extensively since is this idea of amateurs versus experts with statistics, also in coding. So we did get into a little discussion, which I'm sure is going to get even more pronounced as we get closer to the debate and read more papers. But there, there was this worry that maybe giving out data publicly, big data that's being collected, would hurt our privacy more than if corporations owned it and moved it around themselves. And then there's also this concern that there will be a bunch of junk data and some exploitative things that happen if anybody could just make any kind of truthish argument about things. Um, so I have a concern where I'm already a little worried in most fields about this idea of an expert. Like, who decides who is an expert? And once we have someone who decides who an expert is, what are they an expert on? What are the limitations on that? I mean, in some ways, a PhD credential is in some way an expert idea, but it's much harder to say how you get to be an expert in statistics, for instance. So to first focus on the issue of giving big data to people and then them creating statistics, I would say that almost anybody who's even taken a first level statistics class, like in undergrad, could probably make some meaningful statistics, and probably people without that, especially with all of the educational materials that are now online. So it concerns me to say that it's only experts who can do stuff like this, and it's only corporations, because to me, while of course an expert in a field can probably make the most significant and in-depth argument if they are really an expert or whatever, but assuming that this works out, then they should be the best at what they do. However, uh, most of these people are biased. If you're a corporation, you are interested in statistics that are explicitly for the purpose of growing your company, maximizing profits, whatever. Um, so I think that there is a level at which we can kind of like mini eyes. We can look from a variety of lenses as a population at big data, and perhaps make counter arguments to the things that are being pushed through the media and the things that corporations and big institutions are pushing. I think it's good to have these critical voices, and I think that if the stats are bad, there's a really good chance that that's going to get diagnosed and people are going to know. And it's not like your average Joe Schmo even knows how to run regressions and find statistics. So that's one thing I was reflecting on. There's also this idea of amateur computer programmers versus expert computer programmers. And I feel like right now, in a lot of ways, new things that we're creating for analyzing big data, for analyzing specifically, are set up for more expert programmers, people with CS degrees, people who know how to do batch jobs or use a cluster, whereas tools for your average consumer aren't even available. So this is something that also is concerning, because if there is a hope to democratize data, then we may also want to say there should be tools for the average consumer. And even if we don't want to democratize data, even if we just want experts to be working with it, experts aren't often computer scientists. And right now we're getting to the point where almost every lab is needing to have a computer science person in there. I know that I kind of acted like that in my neuro lab, and we had another computer scientist as well as a system admin. And my girlfriend's biology lab has a computer scientist in it. There's always this growing need for a computer scientist, which makes me wonder, like, are we not doing a good enough job in education, making sure that people can handle data on computers, or are the tools just a little bit too complex and they're built into this history of programming languages that coders are comfortable with. So these are just some reflections. I'm hoping to build some more specific ideas about what could better the situation, and I would really like to get more in depth on the whole privacy argument and like who should own big data, because there is this feeling where it's like, well, if they're collecting it off of me, even if it's their product, should I not be able to see my big data? And that's the question I'm going to end with. Okay.